Welcome back. Yeah, so I open the forum for further reflections on the proposals that binal has made.
Meanwhile, Dr. Kaur, if you have certain reflections, we can continue our discussion also about what do you think.
Yeah, I have one. I was thinking about one particular thing which is happening with me presently. These days, I'm listening to Gaurav ji and trying to be fruitarian. It seems very sensible to do, and it's appealing. Uh, but am I making a choice in that? Although my mind is understanding and is able to. It's not like a choice by itself, but there is a understanding of it. But I want to listen to him and to the group again and again to deepen my choice, so that I should not waver from that. Um so that choice is having an internal and an external element to it. There is an internal desire, understanding also, but I want the help from mentor like Gaurav ji or Kalyan ji and the group, so that I wonder whether that sort of choice, is it a tendency or is it please can you explore that?
Yes, I was thinking that, fine. I mean, eventually only you would be placed to kind of answer that for yourself, whether it's a choice or coming from a place of understanding. However, if you're sensing that there is some desire to kind of turn fruitarian, for example, or if there is some effort in terms of trying, wherein if you see someone having cooked meal, for example, and feeling suppressed or trying to control yourself somewhere, um, also if there is some conditioning that's coming up to the surface, how are you looking at it? Are you feeling, even while, say for example, most of the time you're fruitarian and there are times when you may indulge in a cooked food, are you feeling guilty about it, or after having it, is it, so all those questioning can happen within, as you are going on this journey, which maybe would help you reflect. Or if you are again having a cooked meal, are you saying, once in a while it's fine, it happens, or are you seeing that the fact still remains, even if I'm having that, it is a processed food, there is some modification, and I'm getting attracted to it. So looking at all these, it's a knack again of keeping that inquiry on. And maybe that would, so if you're sensing some effort, then maybe it is stemming from a choice, but only you would be able to see how it is for you.
Because there is an element of addiction, conditioning in this particular choice for me, and the social conditioning is there, social acceptance, whether they will accept me, you know, such elements are there. So although the choice is clear, still it is getting influenced by the addictive element, and as well as the social sensitivity about what would others say, and so I think I just need to give time to myself, and as we are discussing that, just be observant about it, uh, keeping both the choices open,
Is it again moving from one choice to another, or is it even really a choice at all, if because for humans, food, that's like a pleasure point for us. So if it is opting for the fruits, and if it's coming naturally from a space of understanding, then maybe it's a selection and not a choice, as we would call it. And you also mentioned about the societal pressure and the people around. Having said that, even if it's there, I mean, are you taking it too seriously that this is going to, is it like maybe pointing fingers outside, or even when you are resorting for some advice, some mentoring, some validation from the peer group, is it more out of reliance and like a case study that because so and so is doing and therefore it may work for me also? All these are questions that would kind of make it clear for you that what's the space it's coming from. Is it a choice or a selection, really, where selection is more from a space of understanding that the unmodified, unprocessed, because generally we end up peppering the food with salt and the fire. So it knowing that that is not, that's again with the target to kind of stimulate the pleasure, so make it palatable. So is it coming from that space, or is it, so yeah, it would be an ongoing process of sorts.
Can I also say something on this? Also, Dr. Kaur, I felt that if we are listening, if we are not doing, what is coming naturally as a selection to us, and we are doing it because we are making the change because of what other people are saying, or, other people are doing, isn't that also another cage? That's also another cage. So we are thinking that we may be feeling caged right now, but actually that's a cage, and this is an understanding. So while we sometimes feel that something is uncaging, that is actually the cage. It's possible.
So Binal, would you be elaborate little more about the difference between selection and choice, and if we can drop the examples of food for time being.
So selection is, for example, if I end up I being with people around, and someone who is a bystander may consider that, oh, she is you know s- she's choosing to be with so and so person, but at that point of time it so happens that that person is around at that point in time. So it's like a dance that you are playing, and you happen to be with a certain, so from the outside it may seem like a choice, but for me at that point in time it's just a selection. So it is more like, uh, you know I'm not dependent on that particular person to talk to, that I would only talk to that. If it was someone else, it would have been equally fine. So that is more like a selection. And a choice is where I'm saying that I only want this particular person in my life, or only this I would, this is the thing I want. So when we attach the element, that is more like concretizing it. For example, the other example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're saying that natural mapping kind of. You
Yes.
map with something naturally, that is a selection. And if you are
Which is not planned.
obsessive about something specific, then that's a choice. Then what would you call
Yes.
the example Dr. Kaur was bringing in, like seeking advice from an expert? How do you look at that?
So, if there is someone who has kind of um so-called, whoever is an expert, can we vet the proposals of the expert? Howsoever, I mean, that person may have given even, till date all the proposals which you find valid. But if are you vetting each and every proposal that's coming, even after that? I mean, after a, so, there is a knowledge bit of it, and then there is questioning for yourself, because you cannot believe or disbelieve someone, but see it and examine it for yourself, that is it really so, finding it out for yourself rather than relying again on someone, because here again you end up losing freedom when you are relying on a particular external person, in this case a mentor or an expert. So if tomorrow, if you see that particular mentor maybe having vada pav and he's in the fruitarian group, would that shatter your, whole thing that you have built up, the image? Would it shatter that? And would you stop being fruitarian yourself because you have, had so much faith in it? So can you question that? Is it coming from a space of faith, or is it, your own inquiry in that sense?
That's a
That
very
it doesn't matter how.
crucial thing. Dr. Kaur, what do you say?
Actually, the association happened because of the resonance. The association we are making with such a group or such people is not that but not with any idea, but it is happening by itself due to some resonance which is internal. So there is an element of understanding in that, understanding and awareness about the things, naturalness of the things that is there. And even I have eaten vada pav today after 4 days of fruitarian. So, but I'm not trying not to be guilty about it, because instead of being guilty, I'm trying to understand and just see the things as they are, because uh, otherwise, I would, if I was not in such a group, maybe I would have felt guilty. But because of exploring the possibilities, I'm able to stay neutral.
So, are you proposing that not having a bada pav is not bringing a pride, and having a bada pav is not bringing a guilt?
Yes,
Binal,
because
yeah.
yeah, Binal.
No, Binal, are you talking about this kind of freedom, the state from where Dr. Kaur is speaking?
What I'm understanding is, finally, it also boils down to your internal processing, and each one in that particular group. Maybe externally, everyone has a common denominator, that maybe everyone is opting for a fruit diet, but internally, how each one of you all are processing your own, that consumption, how are you looking at it, would be a very unique thing for yourself. And maybe conversations in that group would be supplementing and furthering your particular way of looking at it. So, freedom eventually is an inside out thing, is what the proposal is. That fine, had it not been, say, for this support group, even then would you, end up doing it? Because eventually, why would you be even perhaps dependent on it? It's helping you, in furthering your awareness, yes, but would it be the reason for deepening your awareness? Eventually, it's, you are the instrument yourself, and that is just an incidental thing that you happen to find resonance in a group which is aligned to what you are also currently exploring. So finally, you would be the one who would be in each participant in that group would be thinking for themselves. So yeah.
So I request others also to contribute, reflect, and bring some more deepening of our understanding. There are a few new names that I see: Harmit, Jim, Shilpa, Atanu, Revati, Shinjini, Sukriti, Preeti. Rest of the names I'm not mentioning because they're a bit regular sessions. Basabdi, yes, Vikrant. Vikrant is having some reflection. Yes, Vikrant, please.
Yeah. No, Binal, while explaining the concept, you used a lot of analogies and, examples. And you say that even the memory part, like it contradicts with what you said with the memory thing. So we are all having this, what do you say, common ground about memories, and this helps us in learning the concept of freedom. So if in the absence of memory, would it be possible to learn new things or unlearn new things?
Yeah, Vikrant. So, memory in this context, one is the memory with, for example, I have a memory where I had uh, say, for example, a fall. If I see that, and then I would be careful the next time round, and while I'm walking down that particular road, if that there is still a pothole there, and it would make me wary of it the next time, but not fearful or not kind of anxious about the whole thing. So memory in this case, it does help the cumulative part of it in certain doing day-to-day things, where you don't start from scratch, and in terms of even trying to remember your name and who you are, where you are, or even if I were to go from point A to point B, I would have the memory to how to go about it, like cycling or this particular language that we are talking, maybe English. There is memory of it, and therefore we are able to communicate. So that's that's the awareness part of it, which could also be perhaps termed as maybe responsive memory. But the other memory that we are talking about is the one where it's coming from a place of a choice, where we are bringing something what happened. Say for example, you and me, we had an argument, say last night for example, and now today if we both are meeting, would I still carry that experience of that memory? Would that still hold true, that Vikrant is, if I form an image of Vikrant, that he's quite a stubborn guy, and now with the next set of interaction, if I'm having that image of Vikrant, then I'm not able to see the Vikrant completely. It's like blocking my way of looking at Vikrant in the dynamic way, because you are changing, I'm changing. So what was there maybe yesterday, and that was only my interpretation that you are stubborn. It may not be so. So can I question what I'm interpreting about you also? Like, are those opinions and the choices that is being talked about. So is that memory overpowering my next interaction with Vikrant? If it is, then my freedom is compromised. Then I'm not able to observe Vikrant as the unfolding of it. And same, so maybe that would, I would want to hear from you if this is bringing some sense to what do you think?
Yes, yes. Mm. Yeah, I got it, like whatever you are saying.
So, Binal, in this, when you say choice, you mean the choice to not talk to the person next time? If I make that choice?
So
what do you mean by choice in it?
yeah, it's like a image that I have formed based on the interaction. So I've concretized that particular, I've concluded that Vikrant is so and so, kind of labeling it. and then can I question that, that whatever, and even that is just an interpretation, because if same Vikrant, if his mom sees him, she may have some other interpretation of Vikrant. So, it's Vikrant, the same person, but every person who is looking at it is looking at it with a different lens. So can we see that whether that lens, can we hold it tentatively, or are we very rigid and seeing it only in a certain way? And even what we are seeing is just a partial view of what whole of Vikrant is. So it's not, and then we are concluding, looking at a particular thing and saying that, that's the whole. So all these are questions that we can ask for ourselves to, broaden our observation.
So the image which you were mentioning, that are we free of that image of Vikrant when we are meeting him again? Or can we just be accepting and be observant of the image which has been coming from the memory to me, and uh, just to observe and be aware of that also? Because if it is fresh in the memory, it may have its effect. And if I am observant about it, okay, I am feeling like this, and the person is also there in front of me. So I am accepting both the sides. What do you say?
Yes, yes. So it does keep coming. So it's not like absence of choice, that those popping of images may happen when you are real time also interacting with, say, in this case, say Vikrant's example. And I would, so when they keep popping up, can I question them rather than saying that I should not have those images? When they keep coming up to the surface, can I look at it and can I question the validity of it? That is it, this what I'm considering to be true, is it really a fact? All these are questions. So it's not about denying that we should not have any image, because that's more prescriptive way of, saying things. But they do keep coming, and when they come, can we kind of, as and when they come, can we inquire into it? Maybe that is what perhaps meditation is also about, where it's real time happening, with the, wherever there is blocking that's happening through our, this image formation, through this choice formation, are we able to look at it moment to moment?
So the last time when I have met Vikrant and the image has been made, and there is a gap, and I meet him again, and that image pops up. So this intervening period also has to be observant of whatever repercussions were there inside me, what I felt. Because when I meet him again, my mind is suddenly uh, overcome with that previous images, and that time it may be difficult to be observant and question it. That's what I feel. What do you say?
I think every time, not just the interim period, but even when can you look at someone afresh without the image? But if the image is also coming up, can we question the image? So putting it on a very loose ground, not again, considering that as a fact. So in you are always vetting it, that this is what the image I have of the past interaction, and there has been a period that has, gone in between, and now I'm meeting again. So now if the past images, is, if I'm looking at that and now looking at the new, Vikrant, and I am looking again through the lens that I want to see, and that lens could be opaque, it could be translucent, it could be, so how am I looking through, is my, the choice or the opinion coloring that lens, and not allowing me to, see through actually, and I may never be able to know Vikrant completely, because again, that's a, I may only get again glimpses of it, but to that also, can I, um, see that there are certain ways where I may get blocked with my own opinions. So yeah.
Today there is no reflection from Minu. Minu, are you there?
Yes, very much.
Reflecting within yourself? Great. So just an announcement. Tomorrow we'll have our next episode on disease, the causes of disease. And Rashi will facilitate us. Rashi is there today also in the session. So Dr. Rashid Tiwari will facilitate us on causes of disease. We welcome everyone to rejoin tomorrow also. Yeah. Now, any question, reflection?
So it's really freedom from everything that we are fixated about, or we become fixated about, whether it's choices or the images. Is it so, Binal? Do you think so?
Yeah, so it's the the fixations, like you mentioned, the obsessions, how everything is so dynamic. The impermanence of life is, it's like everything is in a flux flowing, and we are putting a boulder and saying that this is it, like how in one of the examples about being stuck in a lift, I mentioned that this will happen, that will, can we question that will be, because that kind of brings about that conclusion. And it's again, finding out for oneself that is it will, or is it, there is a possibility, there is a maybe. So this maybe element, and knowing that we don't know and we would never know the whole, and it's not coming from a place of cultivated humility, but it's the fact that we do not know. And so move from a space of understanding that it's quite an immeasurable thing, and therefore even freedom, even if this topic is taken up, there would be so many things to it that maybe are actually left out, and it's a wholesome thing, and we are just touched upon some of it and scratched the surface perhaps.
Another point actually that was coming in, that can memory be emptied ever? So are you proposing that memory needs to be emptied to experience freedom? Are you proposing so?
So, memory, in the context of like how I was sharing with Vikrant, it would uh, not be empty ever at any point in time. It would, because there would be this awareness part of the memory is what was coming to me. But the reactive memory is where, we can keep questioning, and that could, as in when, for example, even when Dr. Kaur said that if I'm looking at someone with an image, it's not about not to look with an image, but when that image comes up, are we questioning that? So it is the responsive memory, which is the one, for example, to be, if I've if I've smelled a rose, and if I find that it's quite fragrant, that's again part of the memory that is there. Or this language, or how to operate a computer, all these is part of memory. But we are talking about the psychological part of the memory of the past and the future, and as in when it comes, can we question it? I mean, this is what's your take on this?
So are you talking about if a memory is bringing a sensation within me, then that becomes a burden. Otherwise, if a memory is in just perceptory domain, that is an awareness. Are you saying so?
Yes, that's how So all the languages, the cycling, and all these things which are, or knowing how to navigate a road, and if I've already gone there, and using certain
So in terms of
things that.
skill, as you mentioned, the cycling or any skill per se, if it
Yes.
is understood, learned, and executed, uh, but executed with pride is a sensation.
Yes.
So when it is just executed, then it is a responsive memory. But if it is executed with a pride or a remorse, perhaps that I'm not able to perform well, or I'm able to perform so well. So these are the impacts of memory. The emptying of memory is a perhaps a phrase, but it actually means that emptying of sensation, to be specific.
Yes, I
Is
think
that
that
so?
you've put it. Yes. Yes.
So yeah, we have around 5-6 minutes more. Yeah, a new member Nidhi joined. Hi Nidhi, how are you doing? Your voice is very low. Yeah, it's pretty low. It's pretty low anyway. Yeah. Can you speak again? Perhaps my audio was no. You are not audible, Nidhi.
Yeah, even
Somehow.
I could not hear.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah.
I think I would also request someone who would want to share their reflection of the presentation, as in which would also kind of, we can continue the conversation around it to further deepen. If there is something that even comes up later, please feel free to share, and we can also connect if we can.
I think we can. Binal actually plan to share the presentation also. So let me share the link here in the chat box so that you can just make a note of it, or you can download also this particular presentation, what she has used. Yeah. I see Minu has unmuted, but Minu, we are not able to hear you for some reason.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
begin to speak.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so when we say freedom from choice, are we saying that whether we do something or don't do something, whatever that particular thing that we are talking about from choice, that is, it doesn't matter. Like, it is not disturbing us. It is not bringing a sensory experience. Are we saying that? Or does it mean something? Is there more?
Yeah, because when we talk about doing something or not doing something, it's at the action level, and that is for each one to decide for themselves. But internally, like you mentioned, at the sensation level, how is whether the thought, or the idea, is it triggering some sensation, is it bringing about that disturbance, and seeing that it's an effort, actually, every thought, every choice, and it's putting us in a loop of the sensations coming from that particular thought. because what was just at the thought level, which is formless, is now getting converted into a form at the physiological level, in terms of the, when we are talking about sensations, we are talking about also the chemical changes within, and that is at the matter level, and it is a burden or a conflict or a disturbance, because it's happening in a cycle, like an endless chain, because there is no start and end. So in that sense, that disturbance that we are talking about is that particular, the chain of thought sensation. And if we have a knack for forming opinions, then whatever could be the trigger, we would end up finding somewhere or the other some opinion or the other. Similarly, if it is perhaps, the inquiry, that one has a knack for it, which everyone has, it's just that it's got blocked somewhere. So one would again end up questioning, and regardless of a particular time, all the time, it would not be in certain area only, it would encompass whole of life.
Yeah. I think we have a minute to go. So that brings a closing statement from Binal. So we'll inquire further. We are not concluding anything here. We are not endeavoring to conclude. But let's continue this journey. And thanks a lot, Binal, for your time and putting the things together in form of presentation and not concluding it. So let's meet up tomorrow again at 7:30. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, let it end by
Thank
itself.
you.
I'm not ending the session.
Thank you.
Thank you.